What's up, Lee Tribe? So before I start this video, I want to give a shout out to Don Pacundo. I hope I'm saying your name right. I just got your message before recording this, and these kinds of comments make my day, you guys. I love making money like the next person, but there's something about knowing that your content is helping people. And it's funny how people they'll email me and say, I hope I'm not bothering you, but I just wanted to let you know I got my first sale. I'm like, bothering me? Like, I love doing this, what I do. I love teaching. And to know that my stuff is helping you guys, that means everything to me. So shout out to Don. Hope this is one of many, 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 many more sales. So thanks for taking the time to let me know. It really does mean a lot. You guys have no idea. So let's talk about some design tools and other tips for people like myself who aren't necessarily trained in design. And maybe you're not necessarily trying to be a designer, but you want to create designs that look decent. And that's kind of where I feel like I am. I was always very strong with the creative part. And I think that has really taken me far with print on demand. But I had to sort of catch up in the design arena. And I'm not a designer. I'm not trying to play one on YouTube, but I have learned to do some things, and it's really served me well. Who would have thought that the To Create a Website girl would be licensing her artwork to people? And that's what's been happening to me this year. I've been getting people contacting me on my shop asking to resell my art in various places offline. So I've had to learn about licensing, and it's kind of overwhelming in a sense, but I'm blessed. But because of what I've learned, it's really, really helped my designs get better. So what I want to do in this video is just talk about a few things that have helped me along the way. And the first tool that I want to talk about is Adobe's color tool. And it's completely free. All you have to do is to go to color.adobe.com and you can find it. I've been reading a lot of designs on color theory. And color theory, they explain the difference between analogous, monochromatic, triad colors. I know it sounds kind of complicated, but it really is helpful when it comes to t-shirt design because it depends on the look that you're going for. And for me, I tend to like monochromatic colors, and I'm going to show you a design that I did using a monochromatic color scheme because the colors kind of blend nicely together. And basically monochromatic schemes are colors of the same hue. It's just basically different tints and shades of the same hue. So in this case, green. So for example, if you're doing an environmentalist design or something to do with the environment, obviously green might be a color that you want to use. So this is a design that I created using the scheme that I created on Adobe Color. So what I typically do is I find my base color that I want to use. So in this case, let's just say a forest green. And then I let Adobe generate the scheme. And if you know the specific hex color, you can actually enter it here. And then Adobe will generate the other four colors in the scheme. And so that's what I used to create this. I also used it to create that new lower third that you just saw fly in on the screen. Same thing. I wanted to start off with the green that I use for Passive Shirt Profits, and then I let Adobe Color create the rest of the scheme for me, and I used it to create this lower third. I'm having a good time with this, you guys, and that's what I think is helping me. I always say you got to have something that keeps you going other than the money. And I'm enjoying the learning process. And I see people's comments, and I just feel like a lot of people are treating this as a get-rich-quick scheme, and that's not what this is. You got to be willing to learn if you want to earn. Ooh, that's a t-shirt. You got to be willing to learn if you want. So yes, learning, it's been fun for me. I really have enjoyed this. Using color.adobe.com, I had never heard of this tool. I don't even remember how I found it, but it's been very, very helpful for me, somebody that tends to stress out over color choice, at least I used to. Next tip. Learn how to create with shapes. If you're a student of mine, you know I'm always preaching this, and this is exactly why this is the theme, shameless plug, of my Photoshop course, because to me, it's a great way to learn a new program. Whether you're going to use Gravit Designer, which is what you're looking at in front of me, which is free, with a premium option. They have paid options within the program. Inkscape, another free program, doesn't work as well with the Mac, which is why I didn't want to feature this here. But a lot of you all told me that you didn't want to buy Photoshop and Illustrator, which I understand. So there are other options, but whatever you use, if you feel like you're overwhelmed and you don't know where to start, if you learn how to merge, warp, manipulate shapes, you can do so much. For example, if you look at this martini glass here, it's just a triangle, a straight line I drew with the pen tool, and an ellipse. 3 things. That's it. So 2 of those shapes were drawn right here from this menu. There's the triangle and there's the ellipse. And for the pen tool, you just click, drag. That's it. And what I like about Gravit Designer is it's very similar to Illustrator. The same shortcuts, some of the same menu items, but when I first used this program, I didn't like it because I didn't know Illustrator. And I was like, this is confusing. I don't know how to use it. But once I started learning more about Illustrator, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like a carbon copy of an Illustrator, but without the same fees, So if you're looking for a vector program but don't want to use Illustrator, you might want to check out Gravit Designer. And I actually plan on doing a more extensive video with this a little bit later. Now, when it comes to filling things in and coloring them, obviously that's something you'll want to learn too. But just learning how to draw and move and merge shapes together, it'll change your life. And that's how I learned. That's how I started. You've probably seen in other videos where I was drawing animals and stuff like that. Yeah, it's super helpful. So if you're going to color this, now this is a cool little trick, and you can also do this way in Illustrator. This is how easy this is. So let's grab the rectangle tool here, and I'm going to make a chocolate martini. So let's make a brownish color. So we kind of get, yeah, there we go. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. So what I'm going to do now is basically select these 2 shapes. And what I want to do is cut off these extra shapes on the outside so the liquid is only inside the glass. All you do is go up to this clip menu. Bam. And Illustrator has a very similar way of doing this. So grab the rectangle tool. Select the 2, click the V on your keyboard first though, select these 2. Illustrator has a shape builder tool that will change your life. I use this thing so much. So you click that, hover over the area you want to delete, hold down Option or Alt if you're on Windows, click, it's gone. Now I'm showing you how to do this with this glass, but as you can imagine, that tip is super helpful when you're doing designs where you need to cut off the edges of something, outside the border. So helpful. So you guys, learning how to do things like this and take shapes and lines and stretch them and manipulate them and warp them and shade them, no matter what program you use, learn how to design in shapes. It changed your life. I've said that like 5,000 times, but it really will. It really helped me feel less overwhelmed with learning software, because I don't feel like you have to learn everything about the software. Just enough to do what you need to do. And that's kind of what I feel like I've done. Next tip. This is a free tool called Word Market, and you can enter any word or phrase in this blank here, and it will show you what that word looks like with every single font installed on your computer. And I tend to be a font junkie. I download a lot of fonts. I buy a lot of premium fonts from sites like Creative Market. And I have a tendency to use the same fonts over and over and over again. So sometimes if I'm like, I want something different, I want a different look, I'll use this tool to just see what I have on my computer. Now, I will say Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, they do sort of give you a preview of what your text looks like. And so I use that a little bit more now than I used to. But this is also a great feature if you don't have a software program that previews all of your fonts pretty easily. So yeah, I love this. And speaking of Creative Market, another tip, I've mentioned this before, but Creative Market has really helped me with laying out text on a t-shirt by like studying their thumbnails, as well as studying how they pair fonts together. I read a lot of articles on how to pair fonts because that's something I was terrible with. You guys might remember the video where I made fun of my old shirts, and I had that, what was it, the EMT mom shirt, and I had like 4 different fonts. Like every line was a different font, and it was ridiculous. And I laugh at myself, but I was learning. I didn't know, and a lot of you guys probably feel the same way. I've seen some of my students do the same thing. If you're not skilled in design, you don't have a background, You don't know, but I have found that studying these thumbnails here, I get a lot of ideas for word placement and all of that. And of course, you can always read articles on font pairing and typography and stuff as well. So I hope this video helps some of you or puts you at ease if you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about software. I don't know anything about color choice. These are some things that have really helped me as a non-designer get better with my designs. And it will help your income if you can make better art, because it is more competitive out here. I would not say that my designs are super, super, super artistic. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most artistic, I would say 5 to 7. But when I started, it was like 1 to 2. And so now that I'm able to do a little bit more and I'm able to kind of work with colors a little better, I have stepped up my design game and it has helped. So I hope that helped you guys, and I'll talk to you later.